Part 1. The weight of the morning. He wakes before the world. Not because he wants to, because the mind of a man who carries empires never truly sleeps. In those first seconds before the calls, before the numbers, there's only a question he cannot answer. Was it worth it? He eats alone. Not because no one wants to sit with him, because everyone who does wants something. Power is the loneliest room. You built the walls yourself, and now you cannot find a door. 47 people need something from him every single morning, and not one of them asks how he feels. The mirror tells him what the world refuses to, that behind the empire, there's still a man who gets tired. He flies to cities where thousands work for him. He has never felt more alone at 35,000 feet. The numbers grow. The feeling doesn't. That is the thing no one tells you about winning. His child drew him a picture. He saw it for 3 seconds. Then his phone rang, and he answered. He built everything they told him to want, and now he sits on top of it, wondering if he built it for himself or for the version of himself that was afraid. Part 2. The invisible pressure. No one sees the pressure. It doesn't arrive as a storm. It arrives as a silence that follows him into every room. Every face in the room is waiting for him to be right. He hasn't been wrong in 11 years. That is not confidence. That is a cage. One message. 300 jobs. He types it slowly, not because he doubts the decision, but because he remembers what it felt like to need a job. Surrounded by people whose entire job is to anticipate his needs. And still, something essential is missing. He cannot name it. That is the worst part. Midnight. Again. He tells himself this is the last sacrifice. He told himself that 3 years ago. He learned long ago to never let his voice betray uncertainty. Now he can't remember how to let anything out at all. He watches a man walking to work with headphones in, no security, no agenda, and feels something he hasn't felt in years. Envy. He works out alone because the body demands honesty. You cannot fake the weight. You cannot delegate the pain. They gave him every award the world knows how to give. None of them answered the question he stopped asking out loud. When everyone leaves, he stays. Not because there's more work, but because he doesn't know who he is when the work stops. Part 3. What money cannot buy. There's a room that money cannot furnish. He found it the night someone he loved was in pain, and he could do nothing but sit there. He gave her everything, except time, and now she walks past him like a stranger in his own home. That trade will haunt him forever. He bought the finest mattress money can make. He hasn't slept properly in 4 years. Peace cannot be purchased. It must be earned differently. He keeps the photographs from before the money. Not to remember who he was, to remember what he felt. That version of him was afraid, but alive. The best meal money can buy, eaten alone. He would trade a restaurant for one ordinary kitchen, one loud dinner, one night where no one needed anything from him. He looks at the young man in the photograph and wants to tell him something. But the young man wouldn't have listened. He never did. He laughs because the room expects it. The sound comes out perfect. The feeling never shows up. That is the performance no one buys a ticket for. His only real peace comes in rooms with books and no agenda. In those hours, he is not a billionaire. He is just a man trying to understand. He watches his child sleep. Perfect, small, unbothered. He wonders if the child will forgive him one day. He wonders if he will forgive himself. He owns an island. He cannot own the feeling of belonging somewhere. That is the final truth of extreme wealth. It removes you from the very things that make life real. Part 4. The mind that never rests. His body stops. His mind refuses. It runs through 10 futures simultaneously and trusts none of them. Obsession is not a choice for men like this. It is a factory that never closes, runs all night, and pays no workers. He is in the room, but never in the room. Part of him is always 10 decisions ahead. That is the curse of the builder's mind. He writes because if he doesn't, the thoughts will consume him. Billionaires are not calm. They are controlled volcanoes. He runs to outpace his own thoughts. He never quite manages it. But the running is the only hour he feels like a man and not a machine. Every conversation is a chessboard to him. He cannot turn it off. He sees moves before they happen and lives 3 outcomes ahead of everyone else. Permanently. He is never fully at the party. He is watching the party, studying it. There is a distance in him that got wider with every million he made. He tried meditation. His mind refused to cooperate. It sent him 23 business ideas in 11 minutes. He gave up and started a company instead. When the win arrives, he feels it for seconds. Then the mind asks what's next. The reward system was reprogrammed long ago. Progress is the only drug that works. This is what they don't show you in the interview. After the spotlight, after the applause, he returns to the board, alone, and starts again. Part 5. The relationships money distorts. The money didn't take his friends. It just changed what they talk about, and what they don't, and what they ask for, and what they pretend not to want. Helping family with money sounds like love. It feels like it sometimes, but also builds a wall disguised as a gift. They live in the most beautiful home either of them ever imagined. They have never been farther apart. Money amplifies what's there. It cannot create what isn't. He pays someone to listen, not because he's broken, but because he forgot how to speak to someone who doesn't need something from him. Every phone call comes with a question he cannot silence. Do they want me? Or do they want what I can do for them? He stopped answering some calls. He still wonders about those people. Hundreds came to his birthday. He cannot tell you which 3 actually knew him. That ratio is the price of wealth most calculators cannot run. His child shows him a drawing of a house with stick figures. For 45 seconds, the empire disappears. That is the most expensive feeling he owns. She didn't leave because of another person. She left because she realized she had been competing with a vision he loved more than he loved her. And he knew she was right. He remembers being broke. He remembers being happier. He does not know what that means. He does not know if it matters. But the memory stays. The child he sacrificed time for now has their own life. They turn out fine, and he cannot tell if that is his greatest success or the result of his greatest failure. Part 6. The truth they carry in silence. He built more than most men dare to dream. And still, at dusk, he asked the same question the broke man asks. Was any of it the point? Power ages out of the body. The money stays. But the man becomes simpler, quieter, and finally, honest, in a way he never dared to be when it mattered. There are people he should have called, moments he should have stayed for. The empire needed him, and he went. He is still going. The calls never happened. If he could speak to the man he was at 23, hungry, certain, burning, he would not take away the ambition. He would just warn him about the things ambition takes without asking. The moments that feel most real are the ones no one photographs. He has learned this too late and too well. Twice a year, he sees people who knew him before the money. In those rooms, he is not a billionaire. He is just a man. Those dinners keep him from disappearing entirely. The hardest thing he ever did was not build the empire. The hardest thing was learning to unclench, to stop gripping the thing he built as though it were him. He sits in the park sometimes unrecognized. Nobody needs anything. Nobody is watching. For 20 minutes, he is just another man on a bench. He calls those the best meetings of the week. He finally put the photograph on the desk. Not the magazine cover. Not the award. The photograph from a year before everything got big. He looks at it when he forgets why he started. He will wake tomorrow and do it again. Not because the hunger is the same. Because the man who stops building does not know who he is when he stands still. Maybe one day he will find out. Maybe that is the real destination. The one no amount of money can fund and no achievement can deliver. Just a man. Finally still. Finally enough.